Languages, your passport to everywhere. Kotoba Camp.
Awful.
Awful.
Extremely unpleasant, serious, or severe, causing great distress. Very serious or severe in effect or degree.
极其不愉快的，严重的，令人痛苦的，严重的程度或影响。
Atmospheric pollution creates awful consequences for human respiratory health and environmental stability. Urban sprawl has led to awful deterioration of natural habitats surrounding metropolitan areas.
Excessive pesticide use has had awful effects on beneficial insect populations worldwide.
Climate change has created awful challenges for polar ecosystems and indigenous communities.
Uncontrolled industrial discharge creates awful water quality issues in developing regions.
Awfulness.
Awfulness.
The awfulness of soil erosion threatens global food security. Awfully.
Awfully. Marine ecosystems have been awfully impacted by plastic pollution.
Terrible, dreadful, horrific, severe.
可怕的，糟糕的，恐怖的，严重的。
Excellent, wonderful, beneficial, favorable.
优秀的，精彩的，有益的，有利的。
Bake.
Bake.
To cook food using dry heat, typically in an oven. To undergo a hardening process through heat exposure. The process of cooking by dry heat.
烘烤、烘焙、烤制过程。
The chemical reactions during baking transform simple ingredients into complex molecular structures. The precise temperature control in baking affects protein denaturation and starch gelatinization.
Ancient civilizations developed sophisticated baking techniques to preserve grain-based foods.
The molecular transformation during baking involves complex interactions between proteins and carbohydrates.
The thermal conductivity of different materials significantly impacts the baking process and final product quality.
Bakery.
Bakery.
Modern bakeries utilize precise temperature and humidity controls to ensure consistent product quality. Baked.
Baked. The baked specimens demonstrated significant structural changes at the molecular level.
Roast, toast, broil, heat.
烤、烘、焙、加热。
Freeze, chill, cool, refrigerate.
冷冻、冷却、降温、冷藏。
Bald.
Bald.
Having no hair on the head. Lacking natural covering or vegetation.
秃头的、光秃的、无遮蔽的。
Ecological studies reveal that bald eagles select nesting sites based on specific environmental parameters. The bald ridges of the mountain range provide ideal habitats for certain alpine species.
Anthropogenic activities have transformed formerly forested areas into bald landscapes.
Environmental factors contribute to the formation of bald patches in forest ecosystems.
Geological processes over millennia have created distinctive bald summits in mountain ranges.
Baldness.
Baldness.
Genetic factors significantly influence the progression of male pattern baldness. Balding.
Balding. The balding process often correlates with various physiological and hormonal changes.
Bare, hairless, smooth, denuded.
光秃的、无毛的、光滑的、赤裸的。
Hairy, covered, forested, vegetated.
多毛的、覆盖的、森林的、植被的。
Band.
Band.
A range of frequencies or wavelengths in a spectrum. A group of people or things united for a common purpose.
频带、波段、团体、乐队、组织。
Spectral bands and astronomical data reveal the chemical composition of distant galaxies. The infrared spectral bands provide crucial data about molecular structures and compositions.
Researchers identified specific wavelength bands that indicate the presence of water molecules.
The electromagnetic spectrum comprises multiple frequency bands, each serving distinct analytical purposes.
Scientists utilize specific spectral bands to monitor vegetation health and environmental changes.
Banded. The banded patterns in sedimentary rocks reveal ancient environmental conditions. Banding.
Geological banding patterns provide evidence of Earth's historical climate changes.
Range, spectrum, zone, strip.
范围、光谱、区域、条带。
Uniform, continuous, homogeneous, unbroken.
统一的、连续的、均质的、完整的。
Bare. Without covering or clothing. Exposed to view. Lacking the usual furnishings or features.
赤裸的、无遮盖的、暴露的、空乏的、缺乏的。
Microscopic analysis revealed the bare cellular structure of the specimen without its protective membrane. Archaeological excavations lay bare ancient societal structures beneath layers of sediment.
Deforestation has left vast areas of bare earth susceptible to environmental degradation.
The bare rock formations provide essential data about geological processes spanning millions of years.
Researchers observed the bare crystalline structure using advanced electron microscopy techniques.
Bareness. The bareness of the landscape revealed underlying geological formations. Bearing.
The bearing of mineral deposits through erosion facilitated geological studies.
Expose, uncovered, raw.
裸露的、暴露的、无遮盖的、原始的。
Covered, protected, concealed, sheltered.
覆盖的、受保护的、隐藏的、遮蔽的。
Bark.
The
tough protective outer sheath of the trunk and branches of a tree. To make a short, loud sound like a dog.
树皮、外皮，吠叫，厉声说话。
Chemical analysis of the bark samples revealed high concentrations of medicinal compounds. The specialized cells in the inner bark transport essential nutrients throughout the tree.
Analysis of ancient bark specimens provides insights into historical climate conditions.
The unique patterns of bark formation serve as natural defense mechanisms against pathogens.
Taxonomists utilize bark characteristics to classify and identify different tree species.
Barking.
The
barking process must be carefully controlled to preserve the tree's vascular system. Barked.
The barked surface showed signs of extensive cellular modification.
Shell, covering, layer, coating.
外壳、覆盖物、层、涂层。
Core interior, center inside.
核心、内部、中心、里面。
Beach. A shore area covered with sand, pebbles, or rocks. Formed by coastal processes and wave action. To run or ground a boat onto a beach.
海滩、沙滩、石搁浅。
Sedimentological analysis reveals complex patterns of grain distribution across the beach profile. Coastal geomorphologists study how wave action influences beach formation and erosion patterns.
The accumulation of marine sediments contributes to the dynamic equilibrium of beach systems.
Longshore currents transport sediment particles parallel to the beach, affecting coastal morphology.
The beach profile exhibits distinct zonation patterns reflecting various hydrodynamic processes.
Beached.
Beached.
The beach sediments contain valuable information about historical storm events. Beaching.
Beaching. The beaching phenomenon provided researchers with unique opportunities to study sediment transport.
Shore, coast, seashore, strand.
海岸、沿海、海滨、岸边。
Inland, interior, mainland, upland.
内陆、内地、大陆、高地。
Beak.
Beak.
A hard, projecting structure forming the mouth of birds and some other animals. To strike or pierce with a beak.
鸟喙，喙状物，以喙啄击。
Morphological analysis reveals that beak shape correlates strongly with dietary specialization. Molecular structures form beak-like configurations in protein ligand binding sites.
The biomechanical properties of beaks demonstrate remarkable evolutionary optimization.
Genetic studies have identified key molecules controlling beak development and morphology.
Selective pressures on beak functionality have led to diverse feeding strategies.
Beaked.
Beaked.
The beak specimens exhibited distinct anatomical adaptations for specialized feeding. Beaking.
Beaking. The beaking behavior demonstrates complex foraging techniques among different species.
Bill, rostrum, mandible, snout.
鸟喙、喙部、下颌、口鼻部。
Stub, blunt end, flat surface, rounded tip.
残端、钝端、平面、圆端。
Beat.
Beat.
To strike repeatedly, to pulsate rhythmically, to defeat. A rhythmic pulse or oscillation, a regular route patrol.
打击、跳动、战胜、节拍、巡逻路线。
Neuroscientists study how circadian rhythms be in synchronization with environmental cues. Acoustic measurements reveal beat frequencies corresponding to structural resonances.
The amplitude modulation of combined waves demonstrates characteristic beat patterns.
Quantum mechanical systems exhibit wave-like behaviors analogous to classical beats.
Researchers analyzed the beat frequency to determine material properties.
Beating.
Beating.
The beating phenomenon provides a precise method for frequency calibration. Beatable.
Beatable. The beatable threshold frequency depends on the system's natural resonance.
Pulse, throb, pulsate, oscillate.
脉动、跳动、搏动、震荡。
Halt, cease, stop, pause.
停止、终止、停顿、暂停。
Behave.
Behave.
To conduct oneself in a specified way. To act or function in a particular manner.
表现、举止、行为、运作、表现、特定方式。
Subatomic particles behave according to quantum mechanical principles. Social organisms behave differently when environmental pressures increase.
Molecular structures behave predictably under controlled laboratory conditions.
Neural networks behave adaptively in response to new input patterns.
Cognitive systems behave dynamically when processing complex information.
Behavioral.
Behavioral.
Behavioral adaptations enable species to survive in changing environments. Behaviorism.
Behaviorism. The behaviorist approach emphasizes measurable responses to environmental stimuli.
Conduct, perform, function, operate.
行为、表现、运作、操作。
Misbehave, malfunction, dysfunction, fail.
行为不当、故障、失调、失败。
Well done! Take a break and remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Let's keep our learning motivation fresh.
Language is the dress of thought.